Hi, I'm Bill Doherty, and I want to welcome the viewers to another edition of Bill's Bullpen. Bill's Bullpen is a program that has the intention, at least, of bringing people to a higher degree of awareness of things that are going on in their community, both in here in Bourne and also in the region. And with me today, I have two beautiful young ladies that actually are involved with a very significant program called Heroes in Transition. Nicole Spencer, you're the director.
Yes, hi, Bill.
And Cyndy Jones, you're the founder.
Yes.
Okay, so
Thank you for inviting us.
Oh, you're welcome. Tell us a little bit about this.
Heroes in Transition got started in 2010. So we've been on the Cape for now, it'll be 12 years. We're in our 13th year. It got started because we lost our son, Captain Jones, in Afghanistan in a helicopter collision on their, it was a combat mission that they were on. It was unfortunate. When Eric came home, my husband and I decided at that point that we were going to carry on his mission. Eric basically chose helicopters because he wanted to protect the troops on the ground, so we decided to do that for him. When you have grief and pain, as we were just talking, you need to put it in a positive, that positive energy, it needs to go someplace, or it would be negative.
On your son, was he involved in combat maneuvers?
He was a combat pilot.
Okay, so he was involved in what we used to call vertical envelopment issues. I think that's what we used to call it, when I used to write those plans.
He was in a Huey helicopter, which is left over from the Vietnam days. So we very quickly put together a small board and some guidelines as to what we're going to do to help our men and women transition back into civilian life, and created our own niche here on the Cape, and it grew. We started with service dogs. And then from that, it became involved with horses. We like animals. And equine therapy became part of us, and then it became couples and veterans, and now we have 10 ongoing programs. So that's it in a nutshell. But
10 programs?
We have 10 ongoing programs.
And there's 2 of you.
Well, we do have facilitators. And we have people who work with us who are they are very dedicated to what they do. And they love working with veterans, and they are veterans themselves. So they know what the needs are, and they have that ability to welcome people in and create a community. And the whole thing with Heroes in Transition, I think that makes us unique in a way, is that when people come to us, it becomes a community, it becomes a family. It's like a big family, and people get used to make friends. They feel that brotherhood and sisterhood that's lost when the men and women come home. That's kind of recreated again, and they create that bonding. So our programs just grew. And actually this week, we're just finishing up our first FIT program, which is Families in Transition, which we started, 10 years ago. 10 years ago, we found that, the first one was the National Guard had just deployed, and the mothers, mostly they were mothers, and the children were faced with their spouse or their dad in Iraq. And we brought them in, and brought them to the horses. And many of them, the children, had never been near a horse. And I can remember the first night, the children just looking up at these gentle giants in their eyes, and real hesitant. And then by the end of the evening, it had changed everybody. And the program, all our programs involve a meal. So when people come together, when they come together for a meal, there's a relaxation, there's a sharing, food is very, very important, I think, to calm people down. So after working with the horses, we had a meal together, and then we had activities for the children, and then we took the spouses and worked and had a psychologist on board with us who worked with them. This whole program created such a relaxation, and the children got so much out of it, because these are the children who live in a neighborhood, and with their moms and dads are around, and they're the ones who have to go home, and dad's missing. Dad's away.
Our mother's missing.
Our mother's missing. Our first one was just dads. That's why I said dads. But a mother, and we do now have yes, mothers and fathers. But they're in the neighborhood. Other kids don't understand what they're going through, so they have a hard time with the absence of a parent. So we bring the other children together who have the same situation. They bond. They realize they're not the only ones. They help each other to get through it. So that start of our FIT program just grew so much now that we have 3 sessions every summer, 1-week sessions. So we bring it, and actually I think it's one of our most popular programs, right?
Yes.
And it just brings that feeling together. And now mothers and fathers, if they're not in deployment, everybody comes, the whole family comes, and to watch the families, the mother, father, and the 2 or 3 children or 4, stand near the horse, massage the horse down, tack of the horse, and just be with the horse, doing the therapy with the horse. You just see this special feeling you feel it, that special feeling with the children and the parents, and the fathers and mothers will stand back and they watch the children, and it's like, it just brings it together. And then of course after they do ride a horse, and then again we have that meal, and we able through the meal time talk about what's happened and just watch the bonding that happens among the families. It's just wonderful. So the program has grown so much so that now in the fall, we do 2 weekends for just veterans. And that's our we call it Equine Warrior Weekend. And that starts on a Friday afternoon, and it continues to Sunday afternoon. And they stay there this is at Camp Linden and the Alliance Stables.
Camp Linden, that's a YMCA camp.
Yes.
It is, yes.
Yes, so they're cottages right on the water, and every veteran has their own cottage. And then they go up to Alliance Equestrian Stables with Amanda Weiss and her and Katie, her group, and they spend total time with the horses. They also bring in a veterinarian that teaches our veterans how to not only to massage a horse, but to give the horse Reiki. So they understand the energy points in the horse, but they're also learning that those energy points are also within us, and to release that. And they get totally immersed in equine therapy. And it's just a very powerful weekend. It's limited to only 8 veterans because it's so powerful, and the bonding is intense. I mean, it's total immersion into equine therapy. So we're very proud of that program.
And what it should be. And just to intersperse for the viewers, 40% of the force today is deployed from a house, not from a base.
Yes.
And one of the issues continues to come up is that when you are deployed from a base, when you come back to the base, everybody knows what you're about. When you come back to your house, people do not know. Yeah. And right now, I believe it's less than 2% of the country is actually connected with a veteran, so that there's an information gap that's growing, which I believe you're talking about trying to fill that in. We certainly know how to create a soldier, but we do not know successfully how to turn that soldier back into a citizen.
Right. And it's very tough.
So from equine, what else?
Yep.
You said
So-
10 programs. What
So-
else? What else is going on?
Well, we
Yeah.
started with the veteran program. So
I think when I came on, my brother Adam received the first PTSD dog in the Cape Through Heroes, and it really did save his life. So when I met Cyndy and Ken, they opened their door not only to me but to my family. And when I became involved, Cyndy and I were talking, and we're both teachers by trade, and we knew Cyndy's whole background and ideas of wanting programs, and we knew there was something missing. And you really hit that today, was how do we bring a soldier back into the civilian world? And you also said that there's so many deployments that are here, and what we're trying to do is really connect the entire family. And it's hard to start that, because when a soldier's first out, and sometimes we still have those active duty, actually a lot, because we're here near the base, how do you connect that? How do you keep everybody together? So Cyndy and I were talking one day, and we talked about trying to get the veterans, active duty members kind of here, the camaraderie, if that's what they're missing. And we talked about one of our people that I know. His name's John Alexander. He's a he's a veteran, and we brought him in. And it's kind of funny, because with John comes Kristen, his wife, and we sat in this meeting, and we were trying to figure out how to get the veterans out and get this feeling of camaraderie back, and what do we do and how do we do it, because we know that sitting in a room and having somebody speak to you doesn't work. So we were trying to find a way, all right, what things can we do to get people a little out of their comfort zone, but have it fun, and try and find a way to get in and around, and then work on those issues. So Kristen and John came to the table, and we had this whole meeting with both of them, and Kristen said, well, what about the spouses? And so we are learning, and we have learned over the course of the 6 years that we've been doing these programs, to bring in the spouses. And once somebody feels connected, once somebody feels that there's a trust that's created, then the veterans and active duty members will come in. So when our spouses program began, and our couples program, it was really that connection that started. And it really started, I think, for the couples with the retreats.
You reminded me of when I used to come back from deployments, and my wife, who had been in charge, came back.
Of course.
And this sounds like the couples group is like a support group, because
It is.
all of the couples are in the same boat, because there's a need to make that transition back from, okay, I'm totally in charge, I'm running things, and who are you? Okay.
You hit the nail on the head.
Exactly.
And when you come to our retreats and you hear the stories, that's what you hear. I mean, we could tell you story after story, and that's the beauty of what we do with that program. Kristen and John do such a wonderful job about bringing people in, and really being able to do that in a non-invasive way. And then all of a sudden, by the end of that couples weekend, they have these communication skills, tools for their toolbox. They have each other. And you see it, and you see it happen, where sometimes and we have had a couple that have said to us in these groups that, we're on our way out the door for each other when we walk in on a Friday afternoon or a Saturday, whatever day it may be. And then by Sunday, they get up and they share that, we're going to make this work. And that's the beauty of it for us when, when we see that. So the couples program's running so strong.
And that is so important, because I've heard, over the years, so many stories about when veterans come back from a deployment, and they are not only PTSD, but also the fact that there's a certain amount of I'm not where I'm supposed to be, and in many cases there've been reports from spouses about he's having an affair or she's having an affair. We have grown completely apart, and the transition issue that you're talking about is so important to get that reconnection, because there was a reason why they connected to begin with.
Right.
And
right.
they have. I think that we have to be continually reminded of that.
When we started the program, we did our research. We did our research with the service dogs and found that was very successful one-on-one, but it didn't, there was something missing with that because the veteran had his dog and that was it. But we started researching and found out the divorce rate was high among the military, and like you just said, coming back. And so that's when the couples program started. But not only do we have the couples coming together, which, by the way, I have to say this, that it was hard to get veterans to come out.
Right.
So Christian said, we'll bring the wives in. And the wives came and they brought their husbands. That created the bonding. But even though we have the couples meeting once a month or every other month, now the opposite month, we have the spouses getting together. So not only do we have the husbands and wives, now we have the spouses. And we have a very strong program with spouses. Not only do they meet every other month, but and then the couples group, they also have a book club. And they meet every Saturday on Zoom. And the books they have chosen have been, Love Our Veteran. And they discuss this. So this helps the spouses help each other in situations that we civilians do not understand, and it brings that special bonding. And when we do have our couples retreat, we bring in a very powerful speaker, Dr. Clyde Angel, who actually was one of the co-authors of the PAIRS program that the VA has adopted to keep couples together. And Clyde comes and he's an amazing man. And we do 2 retreats. The spring one is to bring couples in, and John and Kristen facilitate that, and they do an excellent job. They have such skills, it's unbelievable.
Teamwork, team building, camaraderie, and then the deep conversational work between a couple happens in the second retreat in the fall.
Yeah.
It's really, to look at these programs and to see that you are changing and saving not just marriages but lives. We connected with that. So when that happens, then you start looking, and we sat down one day and we said, okay, we're still missing a piece. What's the piece that we're missing? We're always looking to do something a little better, a little more. What can we do to help even more? So that's kind of when we said, it's time to bring the families together. And that's how our family program began. It began with, something as easy as a pajama party. And then that grew, and now they've been to Disney on Ice and to some games, some Red Sox games, and right here in our backyard. So
Red Sox games. You take out a bank loan to go to a Red Sox game.
We haven't done that in a few years.
But this is a monthly program.
So we do.
And what was amazing is that when we had when we had COVID, when that hit, we actually did 3 programs a week. We had couples at nighttime. We had spouses on Saturday. We had on our staff. We have a psychologist, Dr. Marie Bartram. She did on Wednesday night. She did a program just for resiliency and to bring veterans or spouses together on Zoom and to talk through that. So during that tough time, our programs kind of tripled. But our couples program, even though we couldn't bring the whole families together, our couples facilitator would do, scavenger hunt and provide a pizza. And so somebody would be knocking on the door with a pizza in hand because we would know who was going to partake in it. So
Casey and Aaron do a great job with that program. We just attended Aaron's retirement from the Coast Guard, and it was so interesting to listen to them talk about his years of service. And what I loved about it most was that Casey was standing next to him, and that's his wife, and they talked just as much about her as they did him. And it was really that family that kept it, they kept it together, and even though she was here, she was doing all of these things, volunteering her time to make sure that anyone that came into the service understood what what was given, what they had for services. We are so lucky to have Casey and Aaron be a part of that, our program, but they really do a great job with the families. So we've talked about couples and spouses and families, veterans and active duty members. We have a reboot program for women, both active veterans
What kind of
and
program?
spouses.
Reboot.
It's called Reboot.
Reboot.
And
okay.
here again, we did our research because we had the service dogs, and then we had divorces, so we brought our couples in our couples retreat. Now, then what became well known in the media was the female veterans. So we created a program called Reboot, which builds up resiliency and mindfulness. And we open that up not only for the female veteran, but for the female spouses. And they come together. It's a course we offer 5 weeks. And they learn different techniques of calming, meditation, yoga. Reiki's thrown in. And it just brings a bonding to the females that is just it's almost priceless to be part of it. It's
really
beautiful.
a special.
Well, actually, my godmother was a WAC first sergeant, so I
Oh, my
appreciate
goodness.
that. Right? Yeah.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
And you talked about food earlier today, and we, we've always talked about what ways that we can do to help with that.
The AMVETS post is the place in Falmouth that provides an opportunity for veterans with food insecurity issues to come and get staples and also produce. The program itself was started by two veterans in Falmouth, and the AMVETS is the host parking lot, and that's on Palmer Avenue in Falmouth for people who who are interested in it.
Great.
And I'd also recommend it to your folks. The only thing you have to show is some evidence, either a 214 or sometimes your driver's license will have evidence of it, or if you have a government ID because you're a spouse, that also makes you eligible for it. Because the intention is that there are many programs, but this is one that's specifically designed to help veterans with with food insecurity issues. We've been seeing a growing of that. It also brings up something else I was going to ask you about. There is a VSO, in Hyannis. So one of the things that the VA requires is that you have their training in order to help veterans apply for for specific benefits. Is that something that your program is involved with at all?
We're lucky. We've gotten it, and it took a long time. We are on the base. We do assist on Joint Base Cape Cod. And when you were talking about food insecurity, we have this program in the wintertime where we give gift boxes out, and they are full. It's right around the holidays, and they're full of fresh produce from Guaranteed Fresh. They have everything that they need to make a meal. And it's so interesting to be a part of that program because each service that is connected with Joint Base Cape Cod gets boxes. And when you are part of that program and you see where that goes, and we receive notes and letters of just people that were like, I just had no idea, that there was an organization out there that was just, to help, and it's literally a box of food, that they could have a meal with a gift card. And when you said that, it just brought to mind that we're on we're on Joint Base. Before COVID, we did yoga over at the base, and for years before COVID hit, we were part of the program that they have on the base called the Fresh Market. So there are so many things. We also give gift cards.
I was going to say
that.
the gift cards. Go ahead. Ongoing.
Yep.
All right, so we've talked about stress relief. We've talked about bonding. We've talked about engagement and integration of everybody that's involved. In a military family, all the members of the family are part of the military.
Yep.
Okay, and those of us who have served, understand that, and it's remarkable how many, I'd say how many spouses do recognize that, and and have a level of participation that people outside of the military, I don't think really understand.
No.
Okay, so we've talked about, I guess, 4 or 5 of the programs. How about some of the other ones?
So within all of those programs, we have events or other programs that run. Cyndy spoke about our monthly programs with our veterans active duty members, where we do stand-up paddle boarding. They go on hikes. We have our home modification program that we do with some
talk
other
a little about that,
organizations.
because I know Habitat for Humanity, has some of that. Do you get together with those folks?
No, we stay strictly with the military.
All right, right.
Habitat is for it just has a wide range.
What
So
specifically would you do for a veteran?
we collaborate with an organization up in Plymouth called Hydrea.
Okay.
And because this is only part of our mission,
One of our parts.
Hydrea will be the ones that will do the vetting.
Okay.
Doing the vetting in an area like that it can be a challenge.
Yes, it is.
And okay, and running all the other programs, the transitional programs, Hydrea does the vetting for us. And when they decide it's a go, whether and we've done roofs and repairs, bathroom repairs, and things like that. We also collaborate with the money. We put our part of the funding into a project with them. And that's our home modification.
And a lot of times with financial assistance, we also work with some St. Vincent de Paul's and the Matthew Fund in Mashpee. So let's just say somebody was having financial difficulty and they just needed that extra little bit to get them through. We don't do the vetting, and we do that purposely because we are that organization that wants to bring people together.
I was on the Housing Authority for 25
Oh,
years.
so you understand.
I understand that completely.
Yes.
You're smart to stay out of that part of it.
Yeah.
St. Vincent de Paul does a great job on
Right, St. Vincent de Paul's in Christ the King, and there's the other one in Yarmouth.
Yarmouth, yeah.
So St. Pius.
They have they have funding from us, and they only serve the veteran population with that funding. And they always come back to us each year to tell us, what they've done, or they'll call and they'll say, this person needs this or something like that. Whether all of these things that we do.
Okay. Now, with all of this stuff going on, I know organizations are in constant need of participants who volunteer to help run programs. How would someone approach you to become a participant?
Well, I think the first thing that a lot of people don't know is we're not federally funded. So
good for you.
Our programs happen because of fundraisers that we do or other organizations that help. And you mentioned the Cape Cod 5 Foundation and the Lobster Trap. They're our community partners. And we just can't do it without support from people. So, we have that support from the local community and businesses, and we're grateful for that. We have events that we run, fundraisers like our Ruck for Hit and our gala. And what happens when that happens is those are the people that start to support us, and then they volunteer. They volunteer their time to run. They volunteer their time to help at the gala. They volunteer. All of these people just want to be part of something that helps the bigger, in this time, in this day and age, I feel like there's so much negative, but the positive is there's an outpouring of people that want to support. So just reach out to us.
Okay. So in the order of things, how would they keep track of you?
Keep track of us?
Yeah, well, no, how would they find you?
Yeah.
Where would they find you?
We're a lot of places.
Social media.
What is the
Facebook,
social media?
Yes.
Oh, our Facebook page always has
And
our
the Facebook
events.
page is called
Heroes in Transition.
Heroes in Transition. Simple enough.
And
Yes.
all our events are on that.
Yeah, Instagram we have a Twitter, and then we keep up to date our website, which is heroesintransition.org, so people can find us there.
Okay. Believe it or not, we're almost at the end of this. What would be the takeaway that you would want people to have? What? Just one apiece. What would be the takeaway?
You go first.
Oh gosh, that we are trying to build a community, to create a family among our veterans and their and their spouses and children. That this is Heroes. I would like Heroes in Transition to be thought of as a very big, supportive family.
And Nicole?
Cyndy took some of it, as we do, but I think that if there's anyone out there that knows anyone that needs help or assistance, and we hear all the time that a veteran says to us, or active duty member, well, I don't want to take the spot for somebody else. And it's time to understand that we're here for everybody, and we that's it. We're here, so please, reach out.
And I think that's a good way to end, to end this program. And I want to thank Nicole.
Thank you.
And Cyndy
Thank you for
coming
giving us
in.
the ability to express this.
And I want to thank the viewers for taking the time to watch this. I think you've learned a lot about, their program and the importance of supporting it. So with that, I'm Bill Doherty, and this has been Bill's Bullpen, a production of Born TV.